boyfriend. Ribbons came untied, unwrapped betrayal. Under that you tied, mistletoe hanging, but the vibe ain't sweet. So I'm tangled up where I used to keep my seed. The red I'm seeing ain't from no candy cane. Ain't no holly, ain't no jolly, just this burning pain. Christmas red is the fire in my head. Yeah, the trust is dead. Tree lights flicker, but my mind's on rewind. Every I love you now feels weaponized. Eggnog spike, but it ain't numb in the sting. Her best friend took my crown, now I'm the fool king. Sleigh bells ringing, but they sound like alarms. Frosty outside, inside it's a storm. No chestnuts roasting, just my patience sharp. Love ain't a present, it's a house of cards. The red I'm seeing ain't from no candy cane. Ain't no holly, ain't no jolly, just this burning pain. Christmas red is the fire in my head. Yeah, the trust is dead.
Yeah, we on. Pop a cork, set the scene. Gold glass, big dreams. Little hood, still pristine. Laugh lines where lipstick sheen. Secrets fizz when we sit down. High heels, low-key crown. Spill tea, still hold it down. Toast up, level up now. Champagne secrets, sip, save it, spill it. Grown and sexy, talk that talk, but we are when we feel it. Champagne and power, glow in the midnight hour. Little hood, whole lot of class, we gon' cry and laugh louder.
Slow pour, let it rise. Real talk, no disguise. Bad days, but we still thrive. Soft heart, hard-earned pride. I'm in a big bag, big piece too. Pray first, then make move. I'm blessed, self-love in every view. Hit play, it's a new you. I'm chosen.
Champagne secret, sip, save it, spill it. Grown and sexy, talk that talk, but we are when we feel it. I'm here. Champagne and power, glow in the midnight hour. Little hood, whole lot of class, we gon' cry and laugh louder. Picking down, new ride. Deep breath, slow sound, champagne. Secrets out now, I'm ready. Picking down, new ride. Champagne, secrets out now, I'm ready.
Hey girl,
Hey girl,
what you doing?
nothing much.
Get dressed.
For why?
Because we're going to the city. I need a little sip, savor, and spiel.
Let's toast.
What you got going on tonight?
Can't call it. Owning the night. What you getting into?
Empress down in the city tonight. I'm feeling like champagne.
Let's toast.
The content you are about to indulge in may contain high levels of truth, sarcasm, and emotional damage. Viewer discretion is advised, but honestly, you clicked, so here we are.
Side effects of watching may include sudden clarity about your life choices, uncontrollable laughter at inappropriate moments, mild to severe eye rolling at ignorant comments in the chat, increased confidence, boldness, and I said what I said energy, or getting read like a hardcover novel with highlighted notes. Your bad take being turned into tonight's entertainment. A free personality evaluation you didn't ask for, but clearly needed needed and temporary embarrassment followed by permanent self-reflection, optional, but recommended. Do not consume if you are allergic to accountability, growth, hearing the truth without sugarcoating. If symptoms of being triggered persist, log off, hydrate, and try again tomorrow. By continuing to watch, you agree that your feelings may or may not be spared, and that's between you and your Wi-Fi.
Management will not be issuing apologies, refunds, or emotional support for bruised ego.
We do not argue here. We educate, escalate, and occasionally decorate the situation with a little razzle-dazzle, respectfully.
Stay classy, stay sassy, and remember, if it don't apply, let it fly.
Either way, the glass stay full and the tea stay hot. You either handle it or get handled. Can you handle it? Let's toast.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Enough is enough! I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane! These motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane! These motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane! Everybody strap in! I'm about to open some fucking windows.
I bet you better reach up and grab it. You see the screen. Sweet things are coming your way. You believe it? You believe it? I bet you if you stay in the Champagne City long enough, you will. Champagne gang, fierce fam, confidants, and visitors to the Champagne City, baby. Welcome. Grab your things, rings, wings, tings, and everything else in between and come on in. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm the Empress, and you are joining me for grown discussions and bubbly banter. Baby, over here we give classy with a twist, huh? A little clink with chaos with a side of charm. So if you're ready to sip, savor, and spill, please grab a glass of your favorite bubbly. I don't care if it's sparkling water. Please make sure you're nice and comfy. Fellas, your PJs. Ladies, your jammy jams. Kick your feet up in one of those Chase lounges. Say hi to a few people in the chat because we friendly over here. But you already know, first things first, it's time to get into some of that positivity and affirmation. So if you're ready, take that glass, raise it high in the air. I would tell you to wave it around like you just don't care, but I don't want you to waste it on nobody next to you. Today we're talking about don't flinch. Tonight, life has a funny way of testing you right before something shifts. A little resistance, a little doubt, a little voice asking, are you sure? Don't flinch, because pressure has a purpose. It doesn't always come to stop you. Sometimes it shows up just to see if you've become who you've been saying you've becoming. Don't flinch. Stand on what you know. Stand on what you learn. Stand on every lesson that cost you too much to forget. You've already survived days you thought would break you. This isn't bigger than you. Don't flinch. Not when the room gets quiet. Not when the outcome seems immediate or isn't immediate. Not when uncertainty comes knocking dressed like authority. You've earned your confidence. Wear it. Don't flinch. The mountain doesn't bow to the wind. The ocean doesn't ask permission to be deep. And you don't have to question your strength every time it gets loud. You were built for moments like this. So tonight, no backing away from your purpose. No folding under temporary pressure. No abandoning your vision because the climb got steep. Keep your footing. Keep your focus. Keep your fire. Now say it with me. Glasses high. I stand firm in who I am. I trust what I built within me. I move with courage, even when the path is uncertain. I do not flinch when life asks me to grow. And tonight, I do not blink. I do not break. I do not flinch. Because I know exactly what I am made of. And if you believe that deep down on the inside, baby, raise that glass in the air. Let's toast. And my loves, my dear hearts, if you came into my beautiful city with your heart set on hell and your intentions set on I just want you to know in the Champagne City, baby, we don't do no trolls.
Yeah. Whole squad on patrol. Where they at? Point them out that troll. Troll buses on patrol. Hey, hey, hey. Troll buses on patrol. Troll patrol. Clamp down, shut them out. Tow that troll. Click, clack, log them out. Fold that troll. Whole chair chanting now. Roast that troll. Roast that troll. Troll buses on patrol. Troll patrol. Yeah. Big boots, stomp them out. Roll that troll. Roll it. Cap lock, drag them out. Scroll that troll. Crowd yell loud, we control these trolls. We control these trolls. You type to little mole that troll. Live in my crib, little bowl cut troll. Grease on your keys, little old stain troll. Bridge so high, screen cold from the troll. You a bridge bottom, did water troll. Wi-Fi weak, one bar in your soul. Profile pic, just an egg on a pole. Whole existence on whole set troll. Same fake pages, same lame troll. Catfish, but you can't say that troll. Talk big game, but you fold like a scroll. We just laugh, hit mute on the troll. Troll buzzers on patrol, troll patrol. Wait. Clamp down, shut them out, tow that troll. Click, click, clack, log them off, fold that troll. Whole chat, chanting now, roast that troll. Roast that troll. Troll buzzers on patrol, troll patrol. Big boots, stomp them out, roll that troll. Cap lock, drag them out, scroll that troll. Crowd yell loud, we control these trolls. We control these trolls. You a damn rock, miles grown troll. Lil' dust, might all brand troll. Fry oil hair, little egg roll troll. Keyboard chrome, snap pad troll. You a bad C, no roll troll. Big talk, zero gold troll. DM tough in the street, so cold. See us live, now your spine made a jello troll. You a trash bag, half torn troll. We a whole squad, patrol, that's scroll. On the fly swatter, you the mad ass troll. She the boot heel, flatten that troll. Go home, go home, troll. Whole room, yeah, log off, troll. Log off, home, go, home, troll. Whole room, yeah, grab, troll. Troll busters is on patrol, troll patrol. Slam down, shut them out, tow that troll. Click, clack, log them off, fold that troll. Whole chat, chanting now, roast that troll. Roast that troll. Troll busters on patrol, troll patrol. Yo, big boots, stomp them out, roll that troll. Cap lock, drag them out, scroll that troll. Crowd yell loud, we control these trolls. We control these trolls.
Police! Help! Police! Help! Police! Help!
Here we go again.
What's going on, Champagne Gang? Y'all see what just graced the screen? Please do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Hype up the video, all those extra things that they say on there. Come on in, y'all, because we need to have some conversations. Please help me understand what is going on, ladies. Yeah, I need y'all to step to the front because we spend so much time talking about the fellas. I don't care how many channels you scroll past on YouTube. I guarantee you, if you scroll past 10, a good 3 of them are going to be channels talking about how bad men do women. If you scroll on Facebook, Instagram, if you scroll on TikTok, you're going to hear a bunch of individuals talking about how bad women are done. Women aren't protected. Women aren't looked after. So someone please explain to me what is going on in 2026 where we have case after case after case of women abusing children. And not mothers. We're not talking about parental figures. No, we're talking about teachers. The very thing that you want to hang men out to dry for, we now have the women do it. And we have 3 cases that I want to show you because you know I'm always a person of proof. We always want to bring receipts. So I got 3 cases we want to go over today, and I want you to grab your glass, make sure it's filled up. Meet me in the chat because we are going to be talking. And of course, this is somebody else's video, the collection. So we are going to be doing commentary over it. You can find them all on Law and Crime. Thanks and big shout out to them again because they do not strike your channel for reacting to their videos. So big ups to them, but let's get into it. And I want you to drop in the comments and let me know, what do you think is going on that we have so many women now apparently who are into children? Our kids ain't safe. I keep telling y'all our kids are in trouble. And we're seeing more and more. You thought they were safe because it was just men. Yeah, no.
She is a biology teacher accused of sexually abusing not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 students at her school. Prosecutors now say she allegedly took things a step further, blatantly violating the conditions set by the court. And fittingly for this case, you may be surprised by just how many times she is accused of doing it. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. So based on the sheer volume of allegations, this may be one of the most disturbing teacher sex abuse cases we've covered at Law and Crime. And unfortunately, that is saying a lot because we have covered a lot of cases very similar to this. But in this situation, the sheer volume of allegations really sets it apart. And we're going to talk about that. And the kind of allegations that this teacher is facing, for most people, if it was them, I think they would avoid the public altogether. But prosecutors on this case now say these allegations have not stopped Maris Nichols from allegedly violating the conditions of her bond dozens of times. Now, before we get to that part of the story, I want to bring you up to speed on this case because it is shocking and words just don't do it justice with what this teacher allegedly did at this school. So Maris Nichols was reportedly a bio teacher in Douglasville, Georgia. It's about a half hour outside of Atlanta. In fact, she was actually the head of the bio department at Alexander High School. She was also very involved with the football team at the school. You can see this picture here. She's in a jersey with a person who looks like a player. And we also found much more about Maris Nichols. We actually found the Facebook page for the booster club for the Alexander High School Cougar football team. And that's where we found that picture of Maris Nichols. And we also found this post that lists her as the director of player personnel and managers. She writes in this post that the Cougars are putting in work this summer and the players, coaches, and managers are dedicated to making this team the very best. So before we get to how Maris Nichols may end up in jail as this case moves forward, I want you to buckle up as we walk through what she is accused of doing. And of course, these are just allegations at this point, and she is innocent until proven guilty. Now, initially, Maris Nichols was arrested back on May 8th. Police say she was arrested because she allegedly had sex with a student on campus in a closet. just days before her arrest. And that's not all. She is also accused of having sex with that student in a 2006 black Hummer. Now, the first arrest warrant says, quote,
So in the closet of the school is what you're trying to tell me. You couldn't, you supposed to be at the school to teach the people kids, and you giving different kind of lessons in the closet. And you wonder why our kids are flipping out. These babies ain't even old enough to really understand what hormones are. They're not even old enough to understand the changes that their body is going through. They're not old enough to understand what sex does to the body, not only physically, but emotionally. I know they're not old enough to understand because some of y'all still ain't old enough to understand. That's why y'all going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Because y'all got a little bit of Johnny, a little bit of Joe, a little bit of Jimmy, a little bit of Tasha, a little bit of Tina. Y'all got a little bit of whole bunch of everything going on. So you flipping out because all that little bit that you got on the inside of you, it's all competing for your attention. And you don't know what to do with it. So now you slashing tires and busting windows. I bust the windows out your car. Yeah. See, people, y'all not used to that kind of conversation. You not. Now, I need you to take that thought process and put it into a child when you barely understand it. Some of y'all right now can't date nobody else because of a breakup you had 15 years ago. Soul tie. They still in there, baby. That's why you can't move on. They still in there. Some of y'all still walking around with hatred and grudges towards your baby mama and your baby daddy. You know why? They still in there. They still in there. Because when they not still in there, guess what? You don't care. You could see them walking down the street and speak to them and not feel nothing. You could see them walking down the street, speak to them with another woman, greet her with a hug and not feel nothing. Do you know why? Because I am delivered. Half of y'all ain't delivered. That's the problem. They still in there. Now take all of that and put it into a child. Y'all can't even comprehend what's going on with y'all emotionally. And this, hold on, where is it? Talk on it. I forgot to put it up here. Hold on, is it on this screen? Don't worry about it. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Yeah, this Garbage Pail Kid on this screen. Yeah, this Ruby, right? Hold on, let me put it in the right place before y'all have a fit that I'm covering up this doggone jacket. There we go. Yeah, this Ruby right on the screen. We ain't got time for her. Yeah. She decides she wants to not look for somebody her own age, a grown man. What is going on that all of the adults now have an affinity for children? What is it? What is it? My oldest daughter is 28. Ain't no way. None. Zero. Zilch. I could date anyone that's my daughter's age or younger, close to my daughter's age. Somebody in the vicinity of an age my daughter could date. And y'all want kids? Let's continue. As soon as I find it. Hold on.
Accused did, having supervisory disciplinary authority over the student, to wit, Maris Nichols, who is a teacher at Alexander High School, did engage in sexual intercourse in a 2006 Hummer. The first alleged incident happened on April 23rd inside a closet at Alexander High School, a closet that, according to investigators, was literally shared between two classrooms. Then you have the second incident that investigators say happened days later. It was over the weekend of May 2nd, and the time that it's alleged to have happened pretty late, between 12:45 in the morning and 2 a.m. at a home in Douglasville, Georgia. And that is where the black Hummer was parked, according to police. Now, Maris was arrested on the 8th of May. She made her first court appearance, and she was granted a $40,000 bond, which she posted, and then she was released from custody. Now, at that time, she was facing 2 counts of sexual assault. And I say 2 because it's obviously incredibly serious, because prosecutors
Now, I
would
need
sue.
y'all to think about it for a second, right? Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your doggone eyes. Nobody got time for y'all foolishness. Think about when you were young and started getting excited for the first time. And you didn't know what to do with it. See, we had movies called American Pie and such, Revenge of the Nerds, Porky's, that specifically dealt with horny kids. That's the whole premise of the doggone movies. Horny kids. That's it. Boy, so horny he screwed a pie on the counter. Yeah, movies that would probably be stricken today. All of our movies from the 80s would not make it in 2026 at all. Zero chance. Canceled. And every actor and actress in it would have been canceled too. Think about all of that energy. Now all of a sudden you got a teacher who's older, more mature, more advanced. In your eyes, sexy. In your eyes, a level of status. And you took advantage of that. You ought to get the same amount of time for harming a child and destroying a child and destroying a child's innocence that you get for unaliving a child, because that's exactly what you did.
Had many more charges and allegations. Now, 2 counts of sexual assault, a teacher accused of allegedly having sex with a student. We have seen so many cases where that can put someone in prison for decades. But then, weeks later, Maris Nichols was arrested again. And this time, investigators said they found evidence she allegedly sexually abused 5 more students. 5. And that includes a female student. Prosecutors say she allegedly sexted the students, telling them what kind of sex acts she wanted them to perform on her. She allegedly sent nude pictures and videos of herself to students, including one that allegedly shows the use of a sex toy. And in one case, she allegedly used a sex toy on a live video call with at least 2 teens under the age of 16. So when it comes to the incident involving the female student in this case, Maris Nichols allegedly sent her a naked picture and encouraged her to watch 50 Shades of Grey. That is, if you haven't seen it, a highly sexualized movie that is based on the very popular romance novel series. Now, prosecutors also say that Maris had sex with a student in the back of his truck at a golf club. And this isn't the same student that she is accused of sexually abusing in a Hummer. That is a different allegation related to this teacher. And then on top of it, you have another twist in this story that shows that Maris potentially was being blackmailed. And she was allegedly being blackmailed by students who alleged that she was operating an account on OnlyFans. So there are some
predator. She don't get a pass because she a female. No, all monsters need to be called out. All of them, from the top to the bottom. I thought we were supposed to be quote unquote no child left behind. I thought that was the thing. So why are we not harder on individuals who harm children? Why? Because the child wanted it. She's an adult. Why wouldn't he? That don't have nothing to do with poor parenting. That has nothing to do with, oh, well, what kind of home must he have been brought? Oh, shut up. That has nothing to do with that. This is a kid with hormones. You know how your hormones were. Kids with hormones introduced to a whore, because clearly she had no respect of persons. The man just said female too. So not only are the young men's in trouble, but the young women's is in trouble too. And yes, I said young men's and young women's is on purpose. Argue with your mama, not me. Why have we reached a day and age where everybody wants the kids? Adults is no longer satisfying to adults? Is this what we're saying in 2026? That adults no longer want each other. They want children or AI. Matter of fact, that should say more about us as a society. That we as adults, or I'm sorry, them as adults. Because I like my wine aged at least 5 to 10 years. Only once to twice have I dated anything younger than me. Ever. What do you mean you want kids? Somebody, oh, I get it. Somebody you can control. So this is all about control. This is all about having somebody that's going to do your will and not kick back because they're not strong enough to. This is all about being able to dominate, and be domineering. That's what, is that why we're choosing children? You got to be a sick individual to decide you want to steal the innocence of a child just so that you can feel some sense of control. Your life is so poor and deplorable that the only way you can have some form of control is to abuse a child. Make it make sense. Matter of fact, does it make sense when I say it out loud?
Search warrants that have just been unsealed that reveal that investigators reached out to OnlyFans for records. And the warrant claims that students may, and may is an important word here, may have blackmailed Nichols using the allegation that she operated an account on OnlyFans, and they used it allegedly against her in hopes of getting favorable grades in her class. Now, it is unclear if those claims are true because they are just listed in a search warrant, but it's an important part of this investigation. Now, there's another claim in these warrants where there is a video allegedly of Nichols having sex with a student that shows her in a sweatshirt that reads, "Jesus loves you." Now, after her second arrest, Maris was given a bond this time of $74,000. She was able to post that, and she was able to go home.
Of course her shirt would say that, wouldn't it? Your politicians say it too. Our money says it too. You know, well, in God we trust. Yeah. We're surrounded by biblical references, yet nothing we do lines up biblically. It's quite interesting to me. You would be on OnlyFans, you would be trying to screw kids, and you would be playing with toys on a live with kids. And I'm going to keep saying kids. I don't care if they were 17. They're still kids. I don't care if they were 18. They're still kids. The full legal adult age is 21, unless you've been what is it called? Emancipated. But to me, they're still kids. Children. Babies. Why would you want a baby? Exactly. What is it inside you makes you say, oh yeah, I want that? A child.
And at that point, she faced 11 total charges, nearly a dozen. So let's go through those charges. There is 1 count of tampering with evidence, 2 counts of child molestation, 4 counts of improper sexual contact by an employee, and 4 more counts of grooming of a minor for a sexual offense. Now, the school district that Maris worked at says that she has been placed reportedly on leave. Now, as you can see as we go through these allegations, they are extensive, shocking. I keep bringing that word up because it's hard not to when you read through all of this.
Zach, I know God gotta want to cuss. Like every now and then, I know he'd be wanting to say these mother. I just know. I just know. I know we gotta piss him off because we piss me off. I know he gotta get frustrated and just be wanting to pull the plug just every now and then. And I'm starting to think that's really why we starting to see so much natural disaster. Cause y'all doing a lot. It's a lot going on right now. Everywhere. Not just here. Everywhere. Every country. It's something going on everywhere. I know he got a cuss. And it would be okay. I wouldn't even be mad if I found a hidden scripture somewhere where Jesus dropped a bomb or 2. I wouldn't even be mad. I wouldn't. Zach said, just like there's a bootleg Gucci and Louis, there's bootleg believers. Absolutely. All over the doggone place. And majority of them is the ones pointing their finger at you, telling you who you should and shouldn't be, what you should and shouldn't do. The real job of a believer is to point you to God, not point you to their own personal belief. God is the convictor, not you. Y'all ain't ready for that conversation, though. Tune in to the Champagne City, though, for when we do get into it.
But now there's new information about what prosecutors say Maris Nichols did while she is facing roughly a dozen criminal charges. So this is a new court document that was filed by prosecutors alleging that Maris Nichols violated her bond 85 times. 85. She is supposed to be on house arrest. Documents show she is wearing an electronic monitoring device, which when you think of how those track people, it is frankly wild that she would allegedly violate her bond this many times. Now, Maris, according to the terms of her bond, was only allowed to go to approved...
Press pause. You better not let everybody pray for you. Now, if you don't take nothing else from what I say tonight, you better take this. You better not let everybody pray for you. If y'all ever seen the movie Fallen, we've talked about it a few times with Denzel. You into the horror kind of movie. Well, it's not really horror. It's more of a psychological thriller / horror type movie. And it deals with spirits being passed via touch. That's why a lot of people don't shake hands, to be honest with you, because you don't know where a person's been. You don't know what they did. You don't know what's attached to them. Y'all don't realize that even though you may not be able to be possessed, you can have attachments. A lot of times that's why we're depressed, anxiety, frustrated, angry, why we isolate. It's because of attachments. It doesn't mean you're possessed. You possess a demon. No, you just have an attachment. There's an energy attached to you that needs to be shaken off and removed. And a lot of times it's not going to remove until you remove certain people, certain things. Remove yourself from certain places.
Activities, and she cannot have contact with unrelated minors. She is also encouraged to go through a mental health evaluation. But prosecutors say they have reports that Nichols has been seen in the community outside of the places where she's allowed to go. There's a report from the electronic monitoring company, according to prosecutors, that says over 27 days, Nichols allegedly committed 38 home curfew violations and 47 inclusion zone violations. Prosecutors say that Nichols allegedly went to retail stores, fast food restaurants, and they also allege that she went to places where children are frequently present. The state says they consider her now a threat to the community, and there are concerns that she could intimidate witnesses.
Y'all would have been picked up like 3 steps away from the bottom step from y'all house. Please explain to me how, well, you ain't got to explain. The judicial system is broken. And I keep telling you, I don't know how we expect a broken system to produce unbroken things. It's broken. Everywhere you go, somebody doing their own thing. This judge lets you do this. That judge lets you do that. It all depends on what judge you get in front of. I thought the law was supposed to be the law. It wasn't supposed to be subjective. Explain to me how there's 32, 38 violations and no police been to her door not one time to pick her up. Do you know why? Because she's a woman and they don't see her as a threat. Had this been a man, baby, after the first one, they would have been trying to lock him up for the rest of his life. Guaranteed. But because this is a woman, she's seen as, oh, this delicate flower who just messed up. And some of these women out here are the biggest demons walking the face of these succubuses, as we call them over here. The biggest demons walking the face of this earth. But because they're women, you give them a pass. You give them a pat on the back. Meanwhile, they're destroying your children. So those young men that she tampered with, yeah, they're going to have mental and emotional. And you're not going to notice it as that. Because you're just going to say, oh, you know, they're just boys. You know, boys are just naturally horny little toads. Yeah, no, not all of them. Not all of them. And generally they're not until they're introduced to it. So you just introduce children to something they shouldn't have been introduced to yet. That's also the problem with OnlyFans, because the only way they would have been able to blackmail her would have meant they were on there and saw her on there, which meant they had access. It's a whole lot of conversations that should be had, because why don't you as a parent know that your child blackmailing somebody? If they're blackmailing somebody, that means they're getting what? Grades, money, something in return. You're not questioning anything. You're not looking in phones, nothing. So your kid is just practicing criminality at a young age, just preparing now, and nobody's concerned. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, try walking to the car that pulls up to give you some food, and you got a monitor on. How our intro say, wee, 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 like a cop car. You already know.
In this case, prosecutors now want Nichols to be held in jail until her trial date, which could be months away. Nichols is next due in court June 29th. Join us now to talk more about this is a criminal defense attorney, Eric Faddis. Always great to have you. I know you're a former sex crimes prosecutor yourself, so a great person to talk to about what is just, I keep saying shocking, which is cliche, but it's like one line after another in this case just kind of blows you away. First off, on the defense side of things, 85 times she is accused of violating conditions of her bond. How do you defend that if you're her attorney?
Ooh, that's a tall order. You know, it's hard to explain away all 85 alleged bond violations. You know, I think one angle that might be considered is...
We got this backwards. We don't need her attorney to defend this. The people who need to defend this is the other side of the railroad tracks. Yeah, you need to explain how she was able to have this many infractions and nothing was done. How she was able to be around children as an offender and nothing was done. How she was able to go anywhere without her monitor going off and nothing was done. So they were just recording violations and doing nothing about it because she was a woman.
person does not have much criminal history, is my understanding, if any, does not have significant familiarity with the system. She is dealing with so much going on in her life in terms of the national condemnation of her based on these allegations, which have not yet been proven.
Right.
And she just didn't quite realize all of the strictures of these bond requirements with which she's now trying to wrap her head around and trying to comply with, but not sure how the judge would perceive that.
Right. It's probably a tough argument because, like, on one hand, it's like by the volume, you're like, you had to have known. It's like there's something missing here 85 times. She's accused of going to fast food restaurants, retail stores, just based off what prosecutors are saying. And she had an electronic monitoring device on as well. I mean, typically in these cases, whether it's a case like this, where it's a teacher who's accused of inappropriate activity and sexual abuse, maybe it's another case where someone's able to bond out and then they have an electronic monitoring device. Say someone does one violation. She's driving home from a doctor's appointment. They swing through McDonald's. She didn't know that she wasn't supposed to go to a fast food restaurant. Like, what is the court's stomach for something like that compared to, I mean, obviously it's going to be, certainly more outrageous when 85 times you're accused of doing this, but just like how bad is one time in some of these cases?
Sure. So, I mean, the court's going to look at the nature of the alleged bond.
Correction, I said 38. It was 85. Let's correct. So I add about 50-something more charges to that. Infractions, should I say, to what we already thought. Now explain to me, if you didn't catch it in the first 38, please explain to me how you got to 85 without anything being done. Do you know how many kids, how many children could have been harmed during this time? 85 with not one knock at the door. SWAT didn't show up. They didn't show up 8, 6, 7 deep to your house trying to figure out where you were. In the middle of an open situation, an open case, active.
For sure. So it's not alleged that she's having contact with minors or texting the alleged victims. That would be extraordinarily serious, that the court would really see a problem with that. This is instead some curfew violations, some zoning violations, and while problematic, it's not at the same quantum, the same level as violating some of the other conditions. But the court would look at one of those violations as, oh, that might be a one-off. This could have been a mistake. She went to McDonald's when she wasn't supposed to, not the crime of the century. But when you have something like that 85 times over, it starts to look to the court like this person isn't taking this case seriously.
And when it comes to an electronic monitoring device, like as a prosecutor, when you're piecing things together, and I think it was over the course of 27 days, she's accused of violating the bond this many times. Like, what is the information that comes in where like, what does the electronic monitoring device like actually tell you so you know that she was at a place where she wasn't supposed to be?
Totally. So these devices are pretty technologically advanced. The bond conditions have exclusion zones, meaning that, she can't come by her school or any school at this point. She can't travel to retail stores and fast food joints, things like that. And so what you get is you get information about the GPS coordinates of that monitoring device. And usually they're reasonably accurate. Now, sometimes defense can say, hey, this person was actually 200 yards away from where it says they were, and it was some sort of technological mistake or problem. But on the balance, you get a pretty good picture as to where this person has been, and then you sort of piece together, hey, why were they there, and what could have been going on?
Initially, when she was arrested, which was in the first week of May, she was accused of allegedly having sex with a student twice, one being allegedly in a school closet, the other in a 2006 black Hummer. And that was off school grounds, I believe. And like at that point, she was facing 2 charges of sexual assault. And that is, I feel like we see cases where, I mean, teachers, adults, anybody, whatever their line of work, like that can mean years in prison in and of itself. The fact that she is accused of sexually assaulting or abusing 5 more students, like like as prosecutors kind of pour through this and make their case against this teacher, like I'm sure that becomes a lot more work for prosecutors as well in trying to figure out exactly what this case is going to look like.
It certainly does. And, Chris, as a former felony prosecutor in a special victims unit where we dealt with sex crimes all the time, one thing you're really looking out for is patterns. There are some cases where it appears to be an alleged isolated incident. And then there are other cases where you could be looking at a serial predator. And those are, that's a tremendous red flag in terms of community safety, in terms of especially not just any predator, but a teacher, someone who has direct proximal access to these vulnerable minor populations. And so you really have to conduct a vast amount of interviews, piece together a timeline. When did this happen? Do we have some sort of documentation supporting it? Are there text messages, emails? Is there surveillance video that might aid our case? So the case becomes more expansive at the same time that it's becoming substantially more grave.
And there's roughly 20 search warrants that have been filed in this case by investigators. They're looking at the digital footprint, which we see that in a lot of these cases. When you hear that many for a case like this, is that considered a lot by investigators to serve 20 search warrants?
Oh, heck yeah. That's a tremendous amount. That's, usually you're looking at a handful of search warrants, 20. That tells me there are devices, a number of different kinds of devices in the custody of different people, perhaps school devices, perhaps personal devices. On top of that, they might be serving search warrants on certain companies, like cell phone companies, like internet app companies, things like that, to learn more information and get really the whole picture here. And it's going to be a Herculean effort simply to sift through the responsive materials, documents, and information from those 20 plus search warrants.
Yeah, it does seem like a lot. You never know though, when you're on the outside, you're like, hey, maybe that's just how these cases go. I mean, certainly you have a lot of alleged victims in this case. One company that did receive a search warrant is OnlyFans. And I think a lot of people know what that is. If not, you can open a new tab while you're watching this video and search for it, probably not on a work computer. But she is accused of having an OnlyFans, and in this search warrant, it is alleged that students blackmailed her for better grades, knowing that she had an OnlyFans. It hasn't been proven that she did and that this actually happened, but it is part of the case, so we're talking about it. As a criminal defense attorney, is that something that could, she is facing so many allegations and there's so many layers to this story, but just how could that, if that is true, kind of factor into this case and how it goes?
So there are a few ways defense might look at this. One way is that it's completely irrelevant. It has nothing to do with the case, has nothing to do with the allegations. None of the alleged victims are implicated whatsoever in this sort of separate recreational side hustle, whatever you want to call it, that she's doing. That's got nothing to do with things. It's only going to work to besmirch her character and her name. Judge, we got to keep that out. That's one defense approach. The other defense approach is to say she had people who were trying to extort her. She had people who were trying to use information and leverage to get what they wanted. And if they didn't, they were going to harm her. Does that somehow factor into allegations of person?
What does that have to do with you touching 5 children? I just don't understand. This is the problem that I have with a lot of defense attorneys and lawyers and all of that. Like, you just got to win the case by any means necessary. You know this is wrong. Like, nobody has to tell you. Why would you even take this case home? Like, period. It's inappropriate. Children go to school to learn. You at work trying to provide a home for your child, your children, and this is what your children are dealing with at school. Now you got to worry about whether or not the teacher is looking at your child twice for an alternate reason, should I say. Come on now, there's no defense for this. Nothing you say would make what she did to 5 children okay. 85 infractions while she's on bracelet okay.
If they're going as far as to say, hey, I'm going to ruin your reputation and your career if you don't give me better grades. Well, another way of ruining reputation and career is by making false accusations. I'm not saying that's what happened. Yeah. I'm saying that as defense counsel, you need to at least consider whether that kind of thing could be going on.
One thing I wonder, and it's always delicate kind of talking about this part of it, any sort of bias or stigma in cases like this, because we do see a lot of cases of female teachers who are accused of sexually abusing students. We see a lot of cases of male teachers, all of different ages, accused of sexually abusing students. But there was part of me as I was reading through this, where I think of if it was a male teacher who was accused of sexually abusing 6 students, that is a lot. Like, do you see in the system, and I know it can vary from state to state, like the fact that she was able to be allowed out on bond twice, is that something if and it's the ultimate hypothetical, like if genders were reversed here, like how likely perhaps could it have been that she would already be in jail?
The bond part is pretty curious to me. The fact that a judge looked at these allegations, because as you know, Chris, she was initially charged with 2 counts of sexually assaulting minors, and then the number of counts jumped to 8. There are multiple victims, and a judge still let her out on a relatively modest bond. Would a judge do that if the perpetrator allegedly was male? I'm not so sure. You know, we're talking about a risk to the community. We're talking about a multiplicity of alleged victims, and this person who apparently has access to those folks might have phone numbers, contact information, all of that sort of thing. I think a judge would likely say, hey, the bond needs to be jacked up exponentially. That didn't happen here. Is it because she was a woman? That's a fair question.
Yeah, no, and I know there's like not really like a straight answer to that question, but it is one you think about just with, you know, the amount of victims in a case like this. There does seem to be some digital evidence. We'll see what more the search warrants come back with, but there are allegations in what we've read in some of the warrants that there is a video of her, you know, related to some, you know, again, these very disturbing allegations she's facing. Like, another thing for the defense in these cases, like if a prosecutor has something where this actually goes to trial and they can just press play on it and it shows her having an inappropriate relationship or contact with someone who is under the age of 16, like, how do you handle that?
You know, you think about possible defenses just in the sex assault context. One possible defense is consent. Well, that's out the window because if the person was a minor, they cannot legally consent. So it doesn't matter if they are claiming they wanted that to happen, not a defense. On top of that, you got to look at, did the alleged perpetrator have knowledge of that the victim was a minor? You know, if this is some sort of Craigslist meetup where the minor said they were 20 and they were 16, that's one thing. But here it seems like the teacher would know the ages of the students whom she was teaching, assuming that these alleged victims were students. So the defenses are really being whittled down here. You look at mental health. You know, my understanding is she was ordered to do a mental health evaluation. I'm not sure what that is shown, but really the defenses are kind of dwindling. You look then at mitigation. How can we limit the exposure if there is no really applicable defense? That's sort of the road you go down.
Because how many of these cases, when you have digital evidence as a prosecutor, will actually make it to trial?
If there was a video that appeared to clearly show the crime, the defense is really incentivized to not go to trial on that, to really do whatever they can to limit the possible prison time. So I think that those cases are less likely to go to trial, but sometimes when you have a pattern offender and you have what looks like slam dunk evidence, sometimes you try to take that to the house and maximize the penalty because you believe that's in the best interest of protecting the community.
Local media reports, I think it was Fox 5 out of Atlanta covering the story, talked about how she is currently on leave from the school. I feel like in some cases you'll see school districts just fire a teacher the moment they're arrested. Other cases do leave without pay. Some do that they're on leave with pay, just depending on what the circumstances may be. Like, how could a civil case, like what potentially could like the civil exposure be for a school district if, you know, this proves to all be true and you have 6 students who were alleged victims of sexual abuse at the hands of a teacher?
So there very well could be civil liability on behalf of a school district to the tune of millions of dollars. This could be a substantial civil case because, like I said, we're not talking about one alleged isolated incident. We're talking about a pattern, according to the allegations, of incidents here. And so what's going to really matter is what the school knew. Were there complaints about this person? Did some students speak out and go to a counselor, go to an administrator and say, hey, there's some weird stuff going on with, Ms. Nichols? How much of that exists in terms of the knowledge the school had and then still allowing this teacher to be in their employ? If the school had no knowledge of this, then their liability risk is very low. But if there was at least some complaints, at least some reports, some clues, some indications, we're looking at a potential civil case.
And then I always wonder too, like the inner workings of like a DA's office or a state attorney in whatever state it may be. Like in this case, like if you have digital evidence and you can say like, we can go get a conviction tomorrow on this person. Like, I mean, we press play on this video and it's over. What's the calculation inside the office though, when it comes to, okay, we could get a plea deal for this, or we could take her to trial and then we can get her for a lot more?
Totally. So we had, when I was a prosecutor, including in the Special Victims Unit, this concept called GORT, G-O-R-T, guilty or trial. It's something we only used when we had compelling evidence that we thought was extraordinarily strong, and we had a person who was a tremendous threat to the community, like a pattern serial offender. And what we would say in those cases to defense is like, hey, this person's the worst of the worst, in our opinion, and the only thing they could do is plead guilty to all the charges and ask for mercy from the judge, or they can go to trial. But we're not issuing a plea offer. We're not giving them leniency. We're not going to give them a break. I wouldn't be surprised if this would fall into that guilty
Well, they
or
need to gort her ass then. That's exactly what needs to happen. She needs to be gorted, and anybody that's like us. How dare you go into a school system where you're supposed to be teaching and protecting children, preparing them for their next stage of life, and instead you're victimizing them. The world already gonna do that to them. Hell, half of y'all taking medication right now because of what the world has done to you already. She's supposed to be preparing them babies, and this is what she doing. Garbage pail kid number 1, sewer squad team leader.
category from a prosecutor's perspective.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens next. She is presumed innocent as this case moves forward. Certainly on the bond part of it, I know she's due in court next week. We'll see if she is taken into custody based off of allegedly violating the rules of her bond 85 times. We'll see what happens next. Eric Faddis, the Mile High Lion, criminal defense attorney in Denver, Colorado. Thank you as always for taking the time to be with us on Law and Crime. We appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and we are also streaming on Peacock. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.
So that was case number 1. Now we're getting ready to go into case number 2. I told you we had 3 for tonight, all involving teachers having inappropriate relationships, situationships, whatever you want to call it, with the very ones they are supposed to protect.
So so I know Mr. Bell. I know him well. So I'll talk to him.
So you're gonna call him and tell him that
I'll let him know that you've been arrested.
Newly released body camera of the moment police confront a teacher about her having sexual contact with a student that she was teaching at a juvie facility. We also have the newly released letters that she sent this teen, including ones where she was accused of talking about having that student kill her husband. We're On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. We're getting some interesting access to an investigation that just wrapped up in Kentucky. I'm going to show you letters, handwritten letters, that a teacher who was married and a mom sent a murder suspect in a juvenile detention facility that were explicit in nature and even had lines that had prosecutors arguing that she wanted that student who was in the juvenile detention facility to take out a hit on her husband. Prosecutors in tiny Adair County, Kentucky argued that 27 Elena Barden tried to have this student allegedly kill her husband. We'll talk about how the verdict played out in this case in just a moment. Now, before we get into the body camera video and I show you those shocking letters, let's break this down. Elena was a teacher in the public school system, and she was assigned to help young people spending time at a local juvenile detention facility. Now, that, of course, is admirable work. It takes a special type of person to be a teacher and to help people who have been struggling in life. And it appears that she also lived a very admirable life at home. She was a loving wife. She posted videos on TikTok of date night with her husband. She's also a mom, and she made sure that people knew how much she loved her daughter. You can see in this post that she says, quote, "My girl." It was posted on March 27th of this year. But it was in that month that staff at this juvenile detention center found these letters that were left for an inmate serving time in connection to a murder in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, we have dozens of pages of explicit messages, and several, I'll tell you, are just too graphic to show you here. This is one that is between Barden and that student, where she talks about oral sex with the boy and having sex in his cell, and she finishes the note by saying, quote, "I hope you enjoyed that. I know I did." She also says,
I love you, and I'd like to run into your arms, but that might be odd, LOL. Now, on top of the letters, prosecutors presented explicit pictures that Barden sent this boy. They say that she got them developed at a local Walmart. They also have security camera footage showing her going into the boy's cell, even though that is not allowed per facility rules. But not only did Barden sexually abuse this teenager, she also made statements in the letters that had prosecutors arguing that she wanted to put a hit out on her husband, a man who, at least on social media, she did seem to love, a man who was the father of her daughter. Yet in this letter, she says, quote,
so not only do you have a teacher who is introducing children to a emotional instability they are unprepared for, but you also have a teacher who is grooming children to take out her husband, allegedly, according to the article and what prosecutors believe. So not only do you have to worry about your children potentially being solicited by predators, you also have to worry about your children being solicited to commit acts of violence. And they're young, they're impressionable. You throw a number of zeros at a young person, they're gonna jump at it. A lot of them will, because it's money. Somehow I think the school should be held accountable, but I don't know how. Because this is your teacher. These are your teachers. And somehow you should be more in tune with what your teachers are doing. I don't know how that will work. I don't know, but something has to be done.
Okay, call me effed up, but if you want, I thought you were talking about putting a hit on my husband. I can't give you my ring. I gotta make it look like and make him feel like we're good, but I won't wear it around you. Don't be mad at me. That makes me sad. She also wrote in another letter, quote, this was honestly the most time spent with my, quote, husband in a long time. We had a good day, but it really solidified for me why the two of us just don't work. I just really effing missed you all damn day. Now, when it comes to building a case, these letters are without a doubt incredibly damning against Barden. She writes in one letter, quote, you know my child is my #1 priority, but the way you love and talk about redacted name, that makes me now doubt that you're an amazing father. I don't think I have to go into the sex part of it because you and I both know that is the cherry on top, end quote. Now, clearly Barden, as the teacher, is taking advantage of this teenager, but on top...
A kid. Y'all are so turned on and excited by kids. Kids who have not they don't even know how to use it yet. And you turned on and excited. It's the thrill of the control. That's why you have so many people targeting young people. It is the thrill of the control. You ain't that excited by no young man that barely know how to use what God has given him. Trying to be YouTube correct. You're not that excited. No, you're not. You telling me in all your years of living, and you have children, that you ain't met a man your age that could please you, that you had to go to a child that's barely learning what to do with it. Do it make sense when I say it out loud? You have all these individuals who are going to children. Children who barely are coming into puberty. Boys who barely understand what a wet dream is. Y'all.
Top of that, on multiple occasions, prosecutors say she brought up the idea of a hit on her husband. I typed Elena Barden's name into truthfinder.com, and as you can see here, the charges that she was convicted of came up. Truthfinder will be able to show you the background, even the criminal background, of people who you are searching for. We use Truthfinder all the time here at Law and Crime because it helps us understand the people who are involved in our stories. But even if you don't work in true crime, it can be a great resource because it's one of the largest public record search services in the United States. And with the paid subscription service, you get access to unlimited reports about almost anyone. And right now, you can get 50% off your first month of confidential background reports. Just go to truthfinder.com/OTC. In this letter, she says, quote, I know you say you'll take care of him, but shouldn't someone else do it so the suspicion is miles away from you? IDK, I'm going to miss you so effing bad tonight. You look so handsome today, love. I love you. She also once wrote, quote, you're out of your mind for talking about poisoning my husband. And she says, I get nervous when, the line's cut off here, come home and someone has killed him. So it seems like she's talking about what it would allegedly be like if her husband was killed. Now, with the letters and security video showing Barden going into the boy's cell, police had evidence to confront Barden with what they had. Here is body cam video of her being arrested. And when I watched this for the first time, what stood out to me was Barden's cool and calm demeanor, as if being arrested is not that big of a deal. Take a watch.
I'll talk to him.
Here's the other thing about this whole situation, right? When you think about children and when you think about young boys, you know, they always tell us that girls mature faster than boys. So you're constantly sending this young man these subliminals about your husband being gone. He don't know your husband. He don't care about your husband. And he ain't thinking. And clearly, nobody's monitoring this child to see what kind of conversations they're having and with whom. Y'all still not looking at phones? Y'all still letting them lock doors? Still? After all the stories that we've covered and y'all have seen on social media, you still not checking on your kids? We covered a whole story about a woman who thought that her letting her child finally have a phone was a good thing, only to find out her baby was on Snapchat because she didn't really know what it was. See, one of the biggest problems is us as parents, we don't know all the ways these kids are communicating. There's so many doggone social media apps out now, it don't make no sense. And the woman said she checked her child's phone and found out she was being groomed by a woman and a man, and getting messages and inappropriate pictures from other men. Come on, y'all. At some point, the parents got to care about their kids, to the point where we care about them more than anything else.
Tell him that I've been arrested.
I'll let him know that you've been arrested.
Sure.
And then obviously you need to reach out to him from the jail, okay?
Okay.
And then just, again, he knows me, I know him. You can just
His
tell him.
number be there because y'all don't have it. Like I have a card in my car.
Yeah, I'll get it. I'm going to shoot you. Where is it?
I just like right next to my phone. Okay. I don't want to take something out of my vehicle.
Hey y'all, even the dog pulled up the snitch. Yeah, get out of here. Yeah, she gotta go. She gotta go. I watched what she did 3 times in a row. No, she gotta go. Yeah, I was outside when she was here last night. I done seen it all. You want me to write a statement? Bark a statement for you? Maybe the animals will start saying something, because clearly the people not. Clearly. We supposed to be in an if you see something, say something era, and ain't nobody talking. Because 85 times. How many times did you meet with these children in those 85 times? This woman wants the child to unalive her husband. The one that you vowed, till death do we part. And you trying to get a kid to cause it? Cowardly. You can't even do it yourself. You gonna get a kid too? You gonna mess up a whole child's life. A child that can barely understand sex, and you gonna put murder in front of them so that they can have that image in their head for the rest of their lives. A life that has barely begun. But yeah, Charles Barkley had it right. These kids ain't got no role models. None. Not even half the parents. We used to have big brother and big sister. What happened to the role models for kids? What happened to the safe homes, safe sites? Adults being safe spaces, safe places for children. What happened? These babies ain't got nowhere to run. That's why I keep telling y'all, it's almost like we are living in a live action version of Lord of the Flies. Just a bunch of kids with no direction, no laws, no rules. They don't have laws because all the laws have been laxed and relaxed so that they're in their favor until they turn 18.
Is this okay? She asked for her body?
Yeah.
Hey, your mom's got. Hey, your mom's good at taking the car, right? Your parents are good at taking the car.
That's taking the car?
Yeah, when we're done with it, we're going to turn it over to you guys. We just want to make sure you got driving.
Yeah. Thank you.
You can get those up.
So we're done with this? I can put it back in my car?
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you. Yep.
Anything on you in your drawing?
I just got my attorney's calling.
I'm here. We're just going to get this right here. Before I get to you, that's it. Okay. Well, I guess there's stuff in here. I need to get that.
Now, Barden doesn't seem to say much, but you can see that she is very calm. She's seemingly not too shocked that she was being arrested. She already had a lawyer on hand, so it's unclear if she knew this arrest was coming. Here is when she gets out of the cruiser at the county jail. The officer reads her that her husband has filed a protective order against her.
You getting out right here?
Yeah, we're at the jail.
Okay.
Let's get your glasses.
Just go to the top of the ramp for me.
Yes, we just now got through the door. So, it's just a few minutes, okay? Okay, thank you.
Now, the rest of that video is redacted. In all, prosecutors say Barden and the boy exchanged roughly 140 pages of letters, many sent by her, talking about sexual fantasies with this underage boy. Barden learned her fate last month in a trial that lasted 2 days, and it returned a shocking verdict. Barden was found guilty on one count of first-degree sexual abuse and a count of unlawful transaction with a minor and distribution of obscene material to a minor. But on the count of trying to get a boy in a juvenile facility to kill her husband, jurors found her not guilty, perhaps buying the argument that part of her communication with the boy in these letters that you just read, it was all just a joke. The Times Leader newspaper writes that Barden's
Yep, had to pause it. You heard that right. They thought it was a joke. Everything else wasn't, but they thought this was a joke. I'm so, y'all, I can't even make it up. His mama should have handled this. That's who should have dealt with it. If his mama would have been of a different persuasion, this case would have probably had a lot more layers. Would have. Because what do you mean the jury bought that it was a joke. No, they didn't buy that it was a joke. You know what happened? They had sympathy because she was a woman. If this would have been a man, there wouldn't have been no sympathy. There would have been no question. There would have been no bond. None of that. Everything denied. Matter of fact, let's hurry up and get him to trial so we can hang him. 35 years, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Or what we going with? She's a woman. So she got a slap on the wrist because she's not seen as a threat. How can she be? These were boys. A woman can't hurt a man. Women can't hurt boys. It's just sex. That's all it was. That's the thought process that your kids are up against. Your young men. It don't matter if you're black. It don't matter if you're white. That's the thought process. You ought to be able to handle it because you're a boy. Damn it. What do you mean you're complaining and crying about a girl touching you? A woman who's older than you. This bad body, backwards built beluga whale. These young men, they saw her as an older woman. That's all it was. An older woman. And she took advantage of it. She don't get a pat on the back. She don't get a slap on the wrist. But that's exactly what she got. For one reason and one reason alone. Because she's a woman.
Defense attorney said, again, all of this was a joke, that it wasn't serious, that she actually wanted someone to kill her husband. And he said that these letters about killing Barden's husband were never actually taken seriously. The newspaper did say that the juvenile testified and told jurors that he thought Barden was serious about killing her husband, but he never planned to actually do anything about it. Her attorney also told the boy that he was grooming her as much as she was grooming him, reportedly. Barden is expected to get prison time. It's unclear how much she will get, but if she did actually want her marriage to end, the Times leader writes that her husband filed for divorce in May, and he also filed custody for their daughter. As for a prison sentence, prosecutors are asking for a sentence of up to 14 years. This former teacher, now former wife, soon to be inmate, is slated for sentencing in November. I previously spoke with criminal defense attorney John Day about this case. All right, joining us now to talk a little bit more about this is criminal defense attorney John Day. Thank you as always for taking the time to be with us here on Law and Crime. So they have the messages that she allegedly sent saying that she wanted this juvenile to kill her husband, but she's found not guilty. What do you make of that?
Thanks for having me, Chris. This is an unusual one because the prosecution would not have brought this case unless they had a good faith belief that they had more than enough to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt that she was trying to hire someone, in this case this minor, to kill her husband. So what we see is that the jury was very thoughtful. They deliberated on this and were able to toss out some of the charges based on the testimony they heard. She still was convicted of felonies, but the main case against her brought by these prosecutors failed.
And it seems like from what I've read that the defense's approach to the messages about allegedly wanting to get this minor who's behind bars in this juvenile detention facility to get him or one of his friends to go and take out her husband to get out of this marriage. And the defense seemed to be, she was never actually serious about that. How effective is that argument, the I was just kidding argument, in cases like this where you might have a piece of evidence like a note or something like that saying where someone actually wanted to do it?
Right. Well, I mean, in this case, it was effective, and the defense team was able to convince the jury that they shouldn't take it seriously. And of course, that's a blow to the prosecution. But again, remember, they were able to determine that in their eyes, she was guilty of, crimes of dishonesty, crimes that involve things like sending the material to the minor's involvement with a minor. So the jury was able to at least make some kind of distinction there. But the idea at the end of the day that the defense can say, look, don't take this seriously. She's just sort of, this is a humorous exchange between the defendant working at the facility and then these juvenile inmates, the juvenile people, the kids in detention. I mean, that must have been very effective in the eyes of the jury because even though they were able to convict
juveniles in a detention center for disturbing things, some of them probably dealing with mental things. And you honestly think it's a joke and it's okay to have a conversation with them about your husband being unalived, and we're all okay with this. this is the new level of joke with children who are already in facilities because they have disturbing behavior. And we're okay with it?
They still had doubt. They still had a belief that what the defense was saying was accurate. And remember, she did not testify, and they apparently didn't call any other witnesses. So this was solely based on picking apart the prosecution's case.
Because to your point here's someone who, there's evidence that she had crossed every sort of ethical line and legal line when it came to having sexual contact with a minor. She's sending these notes. There was like 140 pages. And I did note in the newspaper that I guess even the detective was blushing when he was reading these messages that she was sending the boy because they were that explicit. It appears that they had some sort of motive, they believe, that she wanted out of her marriage, but not to split the assets, not have to share custody of their daughter. So it seemed like in a lot of cases that this is typically where it gets a guilty verdict. In cases like this, though, where you see kind of the split decision, what type of jury typically goes in? Like, what does that say about this group of people that they saw that? And how common is it to actually see a jury be able to kind of distinguish what she's charged from here and what she's actually guilty of here?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Chris. And I'm thinking back to the maybe 1,000 jury trials that I've done in my career, and every single time, what I notice, and it's always the same. A jury is they take their job seriously. Okay, you may not like the outcome, whether you're a prosecutor or defense attorney, but the jurors are, this is their job. They're brought together. These are 12 people or 6 people or however many it is who don't know each other, and they're brought together, and they're given this task. They're given this assignment to sit there and listen to this evidence. A lot of times, it's incredibly disturbing. And so you've got situations where people who are strangers to each other sit in a little room, they're watching video, they're hearing disturbing testimony, they're looking over at a defendant sitting at the defense table. At the end of the day, they take their job seriously. And a lot of times I've disagreed with their verdicts, but I've never thought that the jury...
Floozy Flo is crazy, DC, and she finna be another character on the Garbage Pail Kids walk. And we can't keep calling them Garbage Pail Kids because that's a trademark term. So we got to call them our sewer squad or something like that. We got to come up with a unique tag. I need y'all to drop in a comment. I need some names for these people when we discussing these stories. That's going to go on our Garbage Pail Kids wall. Floozy Flo is definitely about to be one of them. I need some other names.
In my cases, didn't take their job seriously. In this case, in this Kentucky case, what we see is a jury that did take their job seriously. They sat down there and they were able to pick apart the case that the prosecution threw at them and said, okay, we believe parts of this, we don't believe other parts of this. And even though the facts here are incredibly disturbing, involving allegations of involvement with a minor at the juvenile detention facility, they were able to say to the prosecutors, basically, you didn't have it. You didn't prove it to us. And we took our job seriously. And we looked at the evidence and we were able to acquit her of some serious charges.
So the timeline for this, from investigation to a verdict, seemed very quick because it was in March of this year, end of March, that they discovered these explicit materials. Then 4 days later, it's April 2025, she's arrested, and then here we are, it's a 2-day trial in September to determine whether or not she's guilty. What do you make? That feels quick. What do you make of that timeline?
Yeah, it's quick. I mean, jurisdictions differ in terms of what their caseloads look like, but this does in particular seem like a quick track for the prosecution's case. And then, of course, the jury didn't take them too long to come back. I mean, they had some idea going into it what they wanted to do, obviously listening to the evidence. But it was probably, my guess from having had these types of cases before in situations with jurors, they probably went into deliberations having some skepticism, at least, about the prosecution's case, because they were able to pick that apart and say, we're going to acquit her of these charges. So as the evidence is being presented, as the case is unfolding, they're being skeptical.
And this trial lasted just 2 days, which I think for some of the high-profile stories that we're often talking about, these are trials that go on for a long time. Brian Kohberger would have been 3 months. Sean Diddy Combs, that was determined to be a pretty long trial as well, far more than just 2 days. Very different situations, and I get that. But what goes into determining how long a trial is actually going to go, and in this case, just 2 days?
Right. Well, both sides make an estimate for the judge. Prosecution looks at how many witnesses they have, what the type of testimony is. Is there a lot of, video? Is there a lot of photographs? And this, is there a lot of, in cases involving things like homicide, of course, you're going to have lots of autopsy reports and photographs. And I mean, this particular case was probably streamlined, it seems like, because it was, from the prosecution standpoint, it was relatively straightforward, not a lot of expert testimony, for example. That takes up a lot of time when both sides have battling expert witnesses who are testifying. The prosecution put together what they must have thought was a streamlined case, but given the verdict, you wonder, did they shortchange their office? Did they really have it together? Because when you go up and you lose on counts like this, when it's the most serious charges, you've got to go back and wonder, what did we do wrong?
What is on the prosecution side, and even for the defense in your work too, when it comes to determining, okay, here's the evidence we have and this is what we need to get? Because maybe in hindsight they're looking and saying, was there a witness that we could have brought? I know that they had the juvenile himself on the stand, and I'm sure they felt really good about him as a witness. The text message, or not the text messages, the letters, they had a diary from her as well, surveillance video of her going in, and that certainly made a strong case on the sexual counts that she was facing. But what is the strategy typically when it comes to making sure that you're telling a story that is one that can keep jurors engaged and not boring them, but also not shortchanging them of important facts?
Right. Well, you kind of hit on the key factor. I mean, if you're a trial lawyer doing criminal law, whether you're on the prosecution side or the defense side, you've got to be a storyteller. I mean, the best lawyers I've ever seen in court are also the best storytellers, and they're the ones who have been able to, whether it comes naturally or whether it's something you've worked on for years, you're able to put together a narrative in a way that a jury can follow it, can understand it, and can believe it. And at the end of the day, they can accept your version of events. So if you are, we see this a lot in younger prosecutors, defense lawyers. They don't have maybe storytelling skills that they will develop down the road in their career. But that kind of stuff, jurors are used to things like watching lawyer shows on television and in the movies, and they see these streamlined presentations that are, polished and eloquent, and they go in there expecting that. They expect that. Sorry, I have a dog here, Chris. Apologize. So the jurors go in there and they expect a streamlined presentation. They expect that the lawyers are going to be like the guys they see and the women they see on TV. The problem is it takes a while to get to that level, even if you're not on TV.
Yeah, because I'm sure even in cases, I even think back to Casey Anthony and like Jose Baez, like a showman, someone who was just very good at telling her story, and then you saw the verdict go in their direction. You think that that's the expectation even in a rural county that someone might have, like Adair County where all of this took place. I know prosecutors are asking for 14 years for her sentence on these 2 other counts that she was found guilty of. And even though solicitation for murder, not guilty, the idea that she had sexual contact with this boy and was, passing along explicit messages, very, very serious charges. What typically goes into a judge's decision in a case like this about whether or not she could get and I know every jurisdiction is a little different, but generally speaking, what a judge will look at to determine what that sentence will actually be?
Right. Well, remember, the judge has sat through the trial. The judge has been able to evaluate the defendant's honesty and character in that little window of a trial, even if it's a 2-day trial where they're watching them. Even though the defendant doesn't testify, the judge has the evidence that the prosecution presented, and the judge has been able to watch the demeanor of the defendant at the defense table. That's one thing that I think a lot of times is overlooked is when you're in court at a trial, it's like you're putting on a play if you're the defense lawyer, and you have to tell your client, everybody's watching you throughout the entire thing. So even on a break, even when nothing's happening, eyes are on you. But the judge is going to consider criminal history. The judge is going to consider the nature of the offense, the person's own history. In this case, because she was in a position of authority, I think a judge is going to be much more severe in sentencing than if it was a different situation. Because when you're given that authority, for example, in her position teaching, a judge is going to say you abuse that, and so there's a penalty that's going to be stronger than what otherwise I would be giving.
Even though she was found not guilty on the solicitation for murder charge, there was evidence that she made comments that she wanted her husband dead, even though the defense said it was a joke. You had the juvenile on the stand saying that he at least thought she was serious. Reportedly, he said that, even though he felt like he was never going to go through with it and never actually gave it serious thought. Could that, even though she was found guilty, factor into a judge's decision about, well, she still said some pretty disturbing things, at least, about her husband to a witness that testified at this trial?
Yes, absolutely. The statements of the witnesses are going to be sitting in the judge's mind as the judge is making the sentencing determination. Judges are surprised sometimes by a jury's verdict, and in their minds they can sort of adjust the punishment to fit what they think really happened. Judges accept the jury's verdict, obviously, but at the same time, they've sat through the evidence, they've heard the testimony, and I've had cases where judges are frustrated that the prosecution couldn't close the deal and convince a jury, and so there might be some effort by a judge to say, look, I know how serious this is, and even though you weren't convicted of this, I know what I heard. And so you do see that from time to time. Obviously, a judge is going to want to apply what they saw during that trial. Even if it's 2 days, they heard plenty of evidence. So again, I think it's going to come back to the person's history, their position in the community, their position of authority. And is this an aberration, or is this something that this person has had a history of behavior that's not appropriate? In this case, we don't know that. But at the same time, the fact that she was in a facility in a position of authority is going to obviously have an effect.
And I wasn't obviously in the courtroom for when the verdict was read, but I'm sure for that top charge, there was a moment of relief for the defendant that she wasn't guilty of that most serious charge. But then the wave comes for, you're still convicted of these 2 other charges, and you could spend some serious time, 14 years maybe. That's a good chunk of your life in prison. I mean, what are the emotions like on the defense's side? Where I'm sure as that lawyer, you're thrilled that it seems like some pretty good lawyering that went on during the trial, but at the same time, your client's still going away for a while. I mean, what's the emotion and the dynamic after that happens, the conversation with the defendant? Like, take us inside the room for that.
Right. Well, as a defense lawyer, you try your best to prepare your client for the worst case scenario. I mean, you say, look, the trial's over. You have some time with them after the jury goes to deliberate. You're waiting on the verdict, and you go through all the scenarios with your client. You've done this beforehand, but it really hits home when you're waiting on a verdict. You tell them, here's the possibility, here's what looked good for us, here's what didn't look good for us. Be prepared for the worst case scenario. And the best lawyers are able to prepare their clients for that eventuality. I mean, you look back at the O.J. Simpson trial, and you know that his lawyers told him, this is a real serious...
No such thing as prepare. Just skewer her. That's what needs to happen. She needs to go on the skewer stick along with the other ones that I told you need to be on the skewer stick. You tried to groom kids to unalive your husband. What, because you wanted to be free? That's what a divorce is for. Oh, but then that would mean you would lose, most likely, because you don't have anything invested. See, this is why y'all got to be careful with a lot of these stay-at-home moms. Y'all be retiring these hellions, these succubuses. Y'all retire them and tell them to stay at home and take care of the children. And this is what they do. They stay at home and plan your demise with other children. She don't care about her kids. She didn't care about her career. And she for darn sure didn't care about her husband. Let's see if we done heard enough for her. Let's see if we get to the next one. Yep. Now we're heading into number 3. Garbage pail kid number 3. Y'all ready? Make sure your glass is filled to the rim. Again, we're dealing with teachers. We do all this talking about men and how men do these children and why are men doing this to children and what these male teachers do. Y'all male bash all day long. Yeah, I just wanted to put something else in front of your face, that men aren't the only monsters in the world that our children have to worry about.
Some facts, obviously, but you want the judge to look at it and say, here are a lot of reasons not to max her out. Here are a lot of reasons not to give her the maximum sentence.
And we'll see how it all plays out. I know she's going to be sentenced in November. Shocking verdict to see that not guilty come across, but of course she'll likely spend a good amount of time in prison. John Day, criminal defense attorney, thanks for breaking this down for us. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime.
Good to see you. Thank you, Chris.
That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.
Make sure y'all subscribe to Law and Crime.
This is your chance to talk, see what's going on. But it was about the kiss that you guys had in the corridor in middle school, okay?
A substitute teacher is in huge trouble after she was allegedly caught red-handed kissing a student.
We have a warrant for your arrest, okay? For it's contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Okay, we got you on video, you guys kissing, being intimate. So I'm gonna need you to stand up, okay?
But after officers cuff her, things go a little off the rails with her family.
My hip is
Shut up.
Have a warrant. That's what I'm trying to get.
Stop.
Don't
Let it out.
Help.
Get out of my face. Why are you out of my face like that?
We're breaking down what happened and the sub's response to the allegations that landed her in jail.
You're going to jail.
Thanks so much for joining us on Law and Crime. I'm Elizabeth Milner. This substitute teacher initially denied she was involved with the 15-year-old student. That is until texts between the two revealed so much more.
I did give him my phone number to contact me outside of school for personal reasons, just because I knew that coming from a situation where being adopted and stuff, it's not very easy sometimes. So I wasn't giving him like professional advice or anything. I just tried to help him through like some of those emotions that he was going through and how to deal with them.
Okay.
And I told him that if it got worse or because he was having problems and he was wanting to like hurt himself and stuff, I told him that if he was to get to that point, he would have to talk to somebody professional, including the counselor at the school.
Okay, so he disclosed that he wanted to hurt himself?
Yeah, at some point, yeah. He doesn't anymore though.
When he was expressing, and that's okay, but when he was expressing these to you, did he ever say like how he wanted to do it? No, like visions or anything? Okay. Was he ever like homicidal in the sense of like, was he ever mad at anybody that he disclosed to? How's his relationship with his stepmom?
I'm not sure how he feels about it. I know it's rocky sometimes,
Okay.
but I don't think it's
Okay.
If it was, I would have said something
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
school.
And I don't think so either. I was just kind of worried or wondering like if he liked her or if they got along or if
I have no clue either way.
Do you know who she is?
No.
You don't know who she is?
No. I just know that the guy that he talks more about is Michael, and how he's really nice to him. He doesn't really talk about his stepmom.
And who's Michael? Is that boyfriend of stepmom or?
What Michael is to her. Or
Oh really? Okay, but Michael
But
he gets along with?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little cold.
Oh no, you're fine. Would you like us to turn the temperature up a little bit?
No, I'm okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just cold outside, and then coming inside, it's gonna be
Okay, well if you get cold, just let us know, okay?
Okay.
Actually, we can. Hey Chief. Or Sarge, can we just turn up the temperature just a little bit? Okay, so you met him in class, gave him the number just to be like a resource for him.
Yeah.
Was that when you first started?
No, this was
Cool, thank you.
like 3 weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago.
Is when this happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. It's been a little while.
So
Not really good at dates.
Okay, so we could probably say approximately 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess with that being said, how was your guys' conversations?
It was just like normal, like you and I talking. I did set boundaries before we even started talking though,
Okay.
in class and outside of the class, where he wasn't supposed to do anything funny, nothing can happen, because I was married and stuff was like that I didn't mind helping with classwork, talking to him, things like that, because that's, I'm very kind-hearted in that kind of way.
That's a pretty interesting way to describe her alleged disturbing relationship with a 15-year-old boy. So let's break down how we got here. This entire case came to light in November when a middle school student told her principal she saw another student and substitute teacher kissing. The high school, middle school, and elementary school are all near one another. The student who reported this said to her principal at first she just saw the sub and the student hugging. A little strange for sure. And then it became disturbing when she saw them allegedly kissing. That teacher was identified specifically by her red hair as Michaela Ford. This all according to police. After, the boy reportedly walked toward the high school where he was a student, and Michaela stayed at the middle school where she was subbing. Those same details that the student reported to her principal were reportedly confirmed by surveillance video, which allegedly captured the whole thing. Let me ask you something. How much time do you think your business team is wasting buried in spreadsheets, chasing down receipts, and reconciling endless rows of bank statements? Yeah, probably a little too much. That's where Odoo Accounting steps in. Odoo gives users a clean, modern accounting dashboard that shows you exactly what you need. Your bank balances, your cash flow, vendor bills, customer invoices, all in one place. It's intuitive, easy to navigate, and for anyone managing their business's accounting, it's invaluable. You want to know why Odoo will give your business a cutting edge? Odoo uses smart AI with a 98% recognition rate to automatically generate invoices and vendor bills. So all you have to do is just review and validate, and that's it. And their bank reconciliation is next level. Odoo connects with more than 28,000 banks to automatically match your transactions with your financial records to give you pinpoint accuracy, so no more guesswork. Need reports? Well, Odoo's got everything from your balance sheet to your cash flow statements, professionally formatted and instantly accessible. So if you've been doing all of this accounting work manually, you can stop this instant. Automate invoices, vendor bills, and accounting workflow with Odoo today and get a free 15-day trial today at www.odoo.com/LCNewsAccounting and see what your business has been missing with Odoo.
Here with her to the, I stood over here and do you know where our time clock is?
No.
So right outside this door, right where Leonard sits, the time clock's right behind here. So I walked out and stood there while she did, and it said thank you and timed her out. Well,
Okay.
the boy was waiting for her.
Outside?
No, he came into the office.
Oh, really? Okay.
And she was like avoiding any eye contact, no contact. He's looking at me like, and I'm like, well, that. And Leonard was sitting there, and we're like, there she goes. Let's make sure she leaves.
Do you think, obviously she was tipped off probably, right?
I'm sure.
And that's why she came in here and just threw the cards
I
down?
can assume that.
Yeah. And then she said, don't tell my husband.
She already knew as soon as somebody like me was requiring her. I said, you're
Yeah.
required to come here. Do not pass go, do not call
Yeah.
$100.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't say that, but I told her
Yeah.
she must come here. So she did. I mean, I can assume a bunch of stuff, but I don't care to be cross-examined by an attorney on whether or not I can prove that she was tipped off.
Yeah, correct. And you said there was 2 videos?
So that's the one I saw. That's
Okay.
all I knew as of that day. And then I called Dr. Sims back, told her I had this, and that she clocked out.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's what I knew from, that was whatever day that was, Wednesday.
Yeah, they had told us that you disclosed everything, so.
That's what I knew. That
Yeah.
was it. And then this is today. I haven't seen this because I've been doing this other stuff.
Okay.
So we'll watch it together.
Have you seen this?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I need to fast forward or just let it run? I mean, it's 4 minutes long, so.
Yeah, they will
There
be
they are.
coming from...
That's them.
Oh, yeah.
So we're in this office over here right now. Looking this
Okay.
way, and this is where they are. Hugging him, no?
Yep.
Looks like to me.
That is very...
Yeah, and you will see when she's facing this way.
Cannot believe she's back on campus over here. She shouldn't be anywhere over across this road.
Yeah, because the elementary
Yeah,
schools,
even if I was going to give her the benefit of the doubt because of her kid being on campus.
there would be no reason that
No
she's on
reason.
this side.
According to the police report, the principal of the school where Michaela was subbing called the teen into her office. He reportedly didn't talk about it until the principal told him that the alleged kiss was caught on camera. And in defense of Michaela, the teen allegedly said, "What do I have to do so she doesn't get in trouble?" When Michaela was confronted, she allegedly said she knew she was in trouble and was just worried about her husband finding out.
She never wanted to articulate.
What do
or
y'all got
explain.
going on in y'all marriages? This what I need to know. Do we need to have a live on how to spice up your relationship? On how to keep it spicy in the bedroom? What is really going on in marriages? Y'all getting married just to be single. What's the problem? You didn't realize what you were saying I do to? We clearly have to go back to our Wellness Waves Wednesdays. Or hell, Wellness Waves every day. Because what's the problem? I don't understand how, as a woman, you can look at a child and get excited. How? And want to be anything other than motherly to a child. It's not computing. Why is the hiring process for teachers, subs, janitors, etc. This is the question. I'm starting to feel like the hiring process for schools needs to be like the government almost. Because what? And this ain't all. I got another one for you for the next show. Don't worry about it. But help me understand the thought process of looking at a child and saying, oh, getting moist. Let's talk about it. Getting turned on by a child who has barely come out of puberty. Explain it to me, please. Still in high school. And you got a husband at home. Is the thrill that far gone in your relationships? And if it is that far gone, what are you doing to fix it? Or do you want to fix it? And if you don't want to fix it, why not just walk? This is 2026. It's not 1812. Women can divorce men. Ask me how I know. Come on, y'all. There's got to be something wrong when the level of desperation, because you can tell looking at her face she's an insecure woman. You can tell that. But that the level of insecurity is so low that you will reach for a child. Something has to be wrong. I don't even want to talk about mental health. Like, I keep telling y'all, some of this stuff is just demonic. What do you mean you looked at a child and got wet and wanted a kiss? Wanted a passionate moment with a kid.
In the video, right? She just said, "Don't tell my husband. Here's my cards." And
I just can't get in trouble for this, and I said, you're aware that this is illegal. You're aware that this potentially is a felony. You're aware that, and she was like, I just don't want to be in trouble. And I told him not to talk to me, but he started talking to me, and I'm like, well, you can't work here.
Okay, cool.
Like, that was the limit of it.
Yeah, you guys drew the line in the sand immediately.
The following day, officers approached Michaela at her home.
Hi, Estancia Police Department. He's already asking what's going on.
There's a male.
Hello. Yeah, we're looking for Michaela.
Michaela?
Yeah.
Michaela? Come here, baby.
Hi, can we speak with you? So I'm Officer Aragon. This is my Sergeant Duran here. We just need to speak to you.
Okay.
Who is this?
This is my aunt slash mom.
Okay, would you want her present or?
She can go back inside just a second.
Okay. Do you know why we're here, Michaela?
I think so.
Why? What do you?
I think it might be something to do with what had happened at the school.
Okay.
If I'm correct.
Okay. Yeah. So before we continue, do you have your cell phone?
No.
Where is it at?
In the house.
Can you go get it for us?
Why?
Okay. So we need it. It's for the investigation. Okay. So if you cooperate with us, I know you made a comment to the principal that you don't want your husband to find out. Is that correct?
Well, I'm going through a divorce, so yeah. No, he knows what's going on because I already told him.
Okay. So this could go one or two ways. Okay. You could cooperate and give us your cell phone, or I could pull the search warrant from behind my back and we're gonna go in and get it.
Okay.
So we're gonna search the whole house. We don't want to have to do that, but we're able to.
And I could provide the search warrant. It's for every cell phone, so I will take every cell phone in the house.
Okay, so can I ask why you're having to take my cell phone? Because it's the only way I can get in contact with my husband and the court.
It's for the investigation of your relationship with the student. Okay.
Well, the relationship with the
Okay.
student isn't.
I don't want to. Okay. I don't want to hear that right now. Okay. But that's what I'm telling you what the warrant's for. So I need your cell phone, or we're gonna go in and get it.
Okay.
Wait, hold on though. So this is your aunt? Okay, can I have her grab it? I just don't want you to go grab.
Well, let the dogs in there. Can I just let her know?
Yeah, I'm gonna be right here though.
Okay.
What's your name?
Ree.
Ree.
Here's my question. It's been perplexing me. Is she pregnant? Her belly button is sticking out. Now she could just have an outie, but is she pregnant? Cause I just know it can't be possible that you pregnant with a child and messing with a child. Can't be. That's some twisted, sick, demented skewer her. After you make sure the baby is safe, you gotta deliver the baby safe if she pregnant. But what timeline is this that we live in? Y'all know what else we're gonna have to discuss? Y'all, we gonna have to get into some of these new Mandela effects from 2026. Because they have me like upset and flued out. How y'all say spilled? Pour it out. Yeah. The stuff that they're now saying. Oh, let me just give you one real quick, right? Willy Wonka. Y'all, they are trying to say that in Willy Wonka, the first, I can't even say bar. The first bar he opened wasn't a bar. It was a moon pie. I don't know how moon pie fit into the story, but they're saying it was a moon pie. Wasn't a chocolate bar. Mandela Effect 2026. We gotta get into it. But this, are you telling me that she's pregnant? Or did she just have a baby? Or is she just overweight? The level of insecurity, you can tell by the way her arms are folded. You can tell by the look on her face that this is an insecure woman who would have failed for anything. Why did you go after a child? Y'all better... I don't know about y'all, but my mama didn't let us stay with just anybody as kids. Oh, no. She didn't care if you was family, friends, or beyond. She didn't care. We wasn't staying with everybody. Not her girl. And don't have no sons. Oh, no. That was an absolute no. Because you know when my mama said things happen. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, don't let your good be evil spoken of. You know what that means? Don't put yourself in situations where stuff can happen. Because if you put yourself in a situation where a situation can situation, baby, that situation gonna situation. I promise you, it's gonna situation. That's why you gotta guard and protect yourself. But see, we too busy having fun. We too busy feeding our insecurities. This woman got a husband at home. You mean to tell me you got a husband at home and you still feeling this insecure? Y'all think the husband may be going fist of fury? Why would a woman married to a man still have this level of insecurity?
Champagne on my tongue, silk on my skin, undone. You lean in.
Now, she did say she's going through a divorce. However, you was married at a period of time too. What did you go through so bad in your marriage that you have this level? You know, a lot of women come out of marriages extremely empowered. Now, there are a lot that come out broken. This is insecure. This doesn't look like broken. This looks like she ain't never really been touched by a real man before in her life. She ain't never felt love. Ain't never felt appreciated. See, y'all be setting yourselves up because of your insecurity and because of what you've never had or you never felt. That's why the Bible says the heart is deceitfully wicked above all things. Who can know it? The Bible also says guard it with all diligence because out of it flows the issues of life. All her issues flowing out right now. All of them. And she chose to take those issues and pour them into a child.
Not while he's talking like that. Yeah, can you grab can you call Reed? Can you call Reed? Can you call Reed for us?
Because of the dogs are very not friendly, so I understand why he's saying. He's not friendly either.
Yeah, why don't they lock him in the room though if they're out here?
Because the dogs, they don't usually do that kind of stuff.
Okay,
yeah.
will you stand over there? What kind of phone do you have?
Samsung.
A Samsung? Excuse me, could you grab her phone for her, please? What color is it? Okay.
It's okay.
We're just we have dogs in here.
Yeah.
And if they get out and out of my yard,
Yeah.
I'll be very pissed off.
Yeah, would you lock them in the room for us since you know we're here?
I have the one locked in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not locking my little two up.
Okay.
They're old and they're blind.
Okay.
And they have happy bladder, which is why we keep the gate closed.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to shut it?
That would be very nice. Thank you.
press pause. And we're going to pause right there for the night, and we're going to come back. I'm not going to say we're going to finish it on tomorrow, because I think I want to do something else tomorrow. I want to do something fun. So I got some ideas. It was fun on the panel with y'all the other day. Excuse me, a few of my champagne gang missed out, so they asked me to run it back. So we're going to have to do another Remember the Time. We have to. Thank you to everybody who joined us the other night for our movie night in Discord. We watched Pleasantville. I told y'all I wanted to show y'all a different side of this color so that y'all can see how dumb it is for y'all to just keep playing with sketches. You know, 2 colors in the whole box that actually ain't colors when you look at it. All the other beautiful colors in the box to play with. And y'all want to argue over too. It just, do it make sense when I say it out loud? Yeah. Thank you for joining me. Pleasantville is one of my favorite movies ever. If you've never watched it, go check it out. It is on Tubi right now. That's how we watched it in the Discord. Make sure you do me a favor for everyone who's in here. Hit that. Like and subscribe button so you'll be notified when we jump into whichever sector we jump into for another show. Please. Excuse me, my allergies are acting up. Please do me a favor. Go over to ChampagneSecretzz Reacts and subscribe. That is our, how should I say it? That's our wild side of the city. Over there, you're going to get the TikTok story times. We have the prank wars over there. Our champagne shenanigans. That's our lighthearted channel. So if you ever need to laugh or just want a story time or need to play a story or something long to get you through the day while you're working, go over there and grab one of them stories or one of those playlists and just let it play. I guarantee you those stories will get you through your day. It's one right now that is going like bananas. It's called How I Became a 304. Just go over there and search it up. You will find it. Do me a favor. If you enjoyed the show, if you enjoy being a part of Champagne City, consider supporting the channel. Hit the Cash App. It is the same as the channel minus the TV at the end. You can also support the channel by becoming a member. You can also support the channel by going over to the Champagne Factory. Excuse me, hold on. Go over to the Champagne Factory and grab you some of that champagne gear. The ChampagneSecretzz gear is going. That's what the orders seem to be coming in for. Also, right now, we got our Protect the Bird. Our custom patriotic gear, because we don't care about none of them. Nope, at this point, the only thing we care about is protecting the bird. So go over there and get your Protect the Bird gear. I will be so excited to see those orders coming in. Did you guys enjoy the show? Thank you, Progressive said. React with ChampagneSecretzz Reacts. Baby, it goes down over there. Them story times, Lord. I'm going to have to go over there one of these days and do our first live. I don't know. We generally just do shows and premieres, but we may have to jump on the live. Y'all ready for a panel? Because that's what it's going to be tomorrow night. So I need y'all to make sure you have your things. Make sure you have your glass of bubbly, whether it's water, Avion, whatever you're drinking. Make sure you have whatever you have. Bring yourself, your bubbly nature, and let's go back and remember the time. I'm going to let y'all choose. Make sure you tuning in to the community wall, because I'm going to throw up some options over there about what the theme is going to be for Remember the Time. And I want y'all to vote on what the theme is going to be. Okay? Champagne gang, fierce fam, confidants, and visitors to the Champagne City. Always remember, if it doesn't cause you to elevate, baby, it's causing you to depreciate. Now raise those glasses, clink, and let's drink. Till we meet again. Ta-ta.
Stockings by the fire, but the room's ice cold. All of what you give, guess it came pre-sold. Found the lips on the best friend, the ribbons came untied. Unwrapped betrayal, under that you tied. Mistletoe hanging, but the vibe ain't sweet. So I'm tangled up where I used to keep my seat. The red I'm seeing ain't from no candy cane. Ain't no Ollie, ain't no Jolly, just this burning pain. Christmas red, Christmas red is the fire in my head. Yeah, the trust is dead. Tree lights flicker, but my mind's on rewind. Every I love you now feels weaponized. Eggnog spike, but it ain't numb in the sting. Her best friend took my crown, now I'm the fool king. Sleigh bells ringing, but they sound like alarms. Frosty outside, inside it's a storm. No chestnuts roasting, just my patience shot. Love ain't a present, it's a house of cards. The red I'm seeing ain't from no candy cane. Ain't no Ollie, ain't no Jolly, just this burning pain. Christmas red is the fire in my head. Yeah, the trust is dead.